Treasury today has just revised down its growth forecasts in the last couple of hours, though, so that could be a lot harder getting there, and the surplus as well.
At the margins, so did the OECD, but it's all relatively speaking at the margins, still reasonable growth rates.
But I've revised it down from 3.4 to 3%. It's quite for the year to March 2013. It's quite a big revision.
Firstly the forecast, so let's sort of see how it ultimately goes, but it's not overly dramatic.
So, on the economy again,
Yep.
quickly, there has been quite a lot of bad news in the last couple of weeks, and the NZIER forecasts are showing no government surplus for 5 years. I mean, at what point do you reassess?
Well, NZIER have been at the negative end of forecasting for quite some time now, and look, at the end of the day...
But Treasury is getting closer and closer down to
Well,
it seems.
Treasury is still quite a long way from NZIER, but my basic point would be, look, forecasts are wonderful things, and they are a prediction of what may or may not occur. We're the government, and so therefore we'll get on and run the operation as best we can. And that means being careful with how we spend money. It means trying to promote economic growth. I mean, over the weekend you saw the US unemployment numbers dramatically improving. They've created quite a lot of jobs there in the last couple of months. So, look, it might all go to hell in a handbasket. If it does, we'll manage it. But at the moment, we're a little bit more confident than others.
But it is looking harder to get to that surplus, surely. You'd have to squeeze spending considerably more to...
Well, let's wait and see. As I said, we'll react to the circumstances we find ourselves in, but I think we're on a program that will lift economic performance in New Zealand. And see how it goes.
You've got that surplus on your action plan, though. Does that make it a promise?
Yeah, well, we're committed to getting back to surplus by 2014-15. At the end of the day, if there's some catastrophe in Europe and the place melts down, that changes the global economic outlook. Well, there are always things that are beyond our control, but we are totally committed to trying to get back to surplus. And I might point out that the year earlier, we're predicting a deficit of 1.5 billion. That's a very small deficit in the overall scheme of two very large numbers. And in my view, it's still possible that we can get back in surplus.
And the Treasury is almost forecast that Alex was talking about. So it's not sort of down to a worst case scenario of having a $14.5 billion hole, but there will be a drop in the budget forecast. So maybe that's going to make it difficult then to get into surplus, because it's not a big surplus that you're looking at anyway.
Yeah, but I think it's important to understand, that is the forecast of what might happen, and it may well prove to be correct. I mean, for the most part, we have great faith in Treasury's forecasting within the bounds of reasonableness. But over the course of the last 10 years, pretty much they're out by a reasonable amount. That's just what happens. All I can tell you is I'm not a crystal ball gazer. What may happen over the next 2 or 3 years is something in the fullness of time we'll know. But all I can tell you is we're on the right track, at least, to getting New Zealand back into surplus as fast as we can. So maybe the situation will be better, and maybe it'll be worse. Whatever happens, we'll take every day as it comes and react to it if required. If things really go badly and the international environment weakens and the government has less options available to us, while I can have extended discussions with the Minister of Finance, it's likely that the first port of call would be a reduction in new budget spending allowance. Now, there's not a lot of money there, but that would be our first port of call. But in the end, all of us knew when we went on the campaign trail that the next 3 years would be difficult. That's why we argued for strong and stable government. We've got very strong and stable partners in ACT and United, and we're just going to get on and do the business.